On the long and lonesome journey to the great awakening, we thought we were going to be free. Now we realized the ones we're waiting for is you and me. People say we're crazy, but they're just fast asleep. Each one that awakens is now waiting on the leap into the unknown, but I know it gets much better than right here. Here I am, standing in my power again. Here I stand, uncovering the truth again. Turn the page, it's a new chapter, and it says where we go on, we go on. And it says where we go on, we go on.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing? This is Janine, and I have Miki here, and we're waiting for Ann to come in. I just happened to send her the link again, just in case if she needs it. So, everybody, please, I wish I had an applause machine. Miki is here in the house, everyone, and, I was so passionate about the Bonds for the Win. I did a show on that of all the information that she puts out in her Telegram channel, the Bonds for the Win, and all the hard work that they do. So I just want to say hello to a few people here while we wait for Ann to come in here. My Starling, these are all my people who have been following me from day one. I can't believe you're still with me. So anyways, let's see here. We have Dragonfly, hello. And then we have Michael from Chicago. And Michael, I'm going to do a story coming out of Chicago that I found a couple of days ago about your governor. And we have Wendy Hall, who is on Facebook. Hello, Janine. I'm excited to see Miki and Ann. I love all you women of the truth and of love and love. Yes, definitely. So I just want to say this, and I said this to Miki before she started. I am so honored to have her because she's one of the few people out there like Ann. I'll put her in the category of Ann Vandersteel and Mel K and all those. She does her research, but then she takes it above and beyond and just brings out more information and make us more of where it's going on so that we could stand up and take a stance for our children, for whatever the cause might be. And that is who this woman is that's sitting here. And hopefully we'll get Ann in here real soon. Hello, Miki. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks, Janine, for having me back. Love to see you.
Yes. So what have you been up to?
Oh, man. We went deep into the Matrix. I'm missing Ann. I need my sidekick here. She's like my girl. She just texted back, or she's still trying to get in. She's saying, can you see me? Just in case. I don't know. No,
I cannot see her. I sent her the link again. I'm not. She should only have the StreamYard link. But no, usually she'll just pop in, so I can't see her.
Okay. She's saying I'll just text her and just say nope. Maybe she can reboot. She's a techie, so she'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, we've just gone really deep into the Matrix, and I got to tell you, this enemy is smart. Janine,
Mm-hmm.
They are very smart. They know how to tie us up and confuse the heck out of us. In so many ways, it's almost like difficult to even figure out where to start. But I'm going to say this. I'm going to say that there's tremendous hope. I'm feeling more hope now than I've ever felt. I feel genuinely like we won this war. I feel like the people stood up right at the right time. I feel like the audit that we did for Bonds for the Win, asking everyone for their oath of office, gave us a huge amount of information to find out who we are and who they are, who we're dealing with. And the biggest thing that we realize is that the people that we think represent us are not representing us. And I'm going to get into that in a second. But man, they've just been after our soul. So I'm going to say they've been after our soul for quite some time, and they stole our soul in 3 ways. The first was they took our summer month, the SOL. That was in the Mayan calendar. There used to be 13 months in the calendar year. It was based on 28-day cycle, the feminine cycle. So they took our soul and kind of knocked us off our calendar. That's kind of a big deal. But the second most important thing we need to understand is they took the sole of our foot, print, SOLE. And sounds matter, meanings matter, these things matter, because when we were born in a hospital ward. And I'm sure a lot of people have heard this stuff, but I want to cover all the bases here. When we were born as a bastard child because our moms signed us as the maiden name without the husband on the certificate of birth. They took our footprints in red, think red shoes. Then they stuck those birth certificates under the Vatican, and they continued to do rituals, and they continued to consider us dead on arrival. Now, that's kind of a big deal when you think of the laws of the universe, the keys of the universe, right? The 12 laws of the universe. When you declare and decree over a soul, SOLE, or the SOUL of an individual, you are declaring and decreeing what they are going to be for the rest of their life. And because we sign them off they even had a delivery date, right? They were scheduled. The package came in. It was dead on arrival because mom signed over the bastard child. And next thing you know, they're opening the Sesta KV trust in our name because we handed them trust. We handed them guardianship of our own beautiful children. And I did it. And I'm embarrassed to admit that I was led astray. But we wandered into Rome not knowing it. So now are we in honor? Not really. So where am I going with all this? Well, when you're dealing with a state board of education who's pushing a transgender agenda on your children, but you signed your children over to the state as the guardian of their trust, who's to blame? Are we walking in honor? Just saying, guys, we're in a bit of a trouble here. Do you know what I mean? Hey, Anne, she made it. Yay.
Oh my goodness. I signed in with my computer and I've never had problems before.
That's okay. Welcome. You're being initiated into my show because it's nothing but technical problems. How are you, Anne?
I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
Doing good. Miki was just right at this pivotal point right here. We're going to let her finish her thought and then we'll get back to you.
Yeah, Anne's going to pick up. She'll pick up right where I left off. So, Anne, I was telling them about the soul, SOLE, of our footprint and how we've kind of inadvertently signed our children over to the state. And the state is now running their transgender agenda, their indoctrination camp on our children. And so we're now assessing what is our standing? How do we reclaim our children? Right? Because that's pretty important. And it all comes back to the footprint. And so, Anne, I don't know if you wanted to touch on that too. I mentioned the Sesta KV Trust. I mentioned the fact, let me back up. The big thing that we all need to learn now is how we were led astray and how to set the record straight. And we also need to learn how to stand up for our children moving forward. And do we have a perfect plan for that? Not yet, because we got ourselves in a bit of a mess. And in order to untangle that, we have to establish standing. Okay. And I know that sounds a little bit scary, but it isn't. And it's necessary because this is how these courts are taking our children from us, is because we really didn't claim them properly to begin with. And everything comes down to air, as in land, air, water. Land being common law, air being the trust law, equity law, learning how to walk in honor, and then water being maritime, which is what we were thrown into when we were lost at sea. Anne, do you want to add?
Well, yeah, I've been studying the birth certificates, and it literally led me all the way back to Babylonian time, where in Babylon, they literally, when a child was born, took their footprints and made them deliver them to the courts. And they claimed the child till he was 18 years of age. And at 18, the child had to come and claim that he was an adult. And the only way they could do that was to compare his footprints as an adult with his footprints as a child. So literally the child had to take a new set of footprints and deliver them to the court so that he could be released as a slave, because we as parents signed birth certificates as informants. We never even saw what they were giving us. At the hospital, when we signed the birth certificate, it says parent's name. But in these little tiny letters of the date, it says informant. And the date we informed them that we had an illegitimate child, because we were literally as on the birth certificate as our maiden name. And so we were the only ones that could take care of the child. And because we weren't married, he wasn't protected under the father's trust. So we signed our children away at the hospital.
And I've got a question about that. So when my father was born, and this goes way back early 1900s, okay, 1917, 18, something like that. He didn't have a birth certificate. So they were all summoned. He was born in Texas. He didn't have one. They weren't required to have one. They were all summoned. If you don't have one, go to the hospital. Who knows what they told them why they had to have one. And wherever they kept the records. And the story goes way back that building that held all these birth certificates was burnt down. And so then they had to go and do this again after that fire, after so many years. So he actually had two different copies, 2 different years. He lied on one of them to be able to get into the work world, if you will. But you mentioned that this information goes all the way back to the Babylon times. So this is where it started, but it wasn't implemented in the New World. Is this correct? Until the late, let's say 1920-ish times. Is that right?
Well, actually, they started implementing it in England during the big fire of London. They brought it in 1666. So they decided because of the big fire, all records were destroyed. How are we going to prove who's here and who's not here? So they literally took everybody as dead, and they gave them 7 years to come claim themselves. And during that 7 years, if they didn't claim themselves, they were put into the trust, trust indenture. Yeah. Huh. So it goes way back. So America was not doing that. And your father was born in America. So from the 1700s or wherever on, all births were recorded in family Bibles, because most births were done at home through midwives. And they recorded the time and date in a family Bible. And then in the 1930s, right before they were in trouble and needed to file a bankruptcy, and everybody knows about the huge bankruptcy of 1933, that's when they decided to start the birth certificates. And this is when it got all messed up, and it got really messed up. So in 1933, they made every hospital record the birth. And then they took the birth certificates and they created a bond with the birth certificates. And the bond was used as collateral to pay off the debt that they owed to the Queen.
Such bullshit. So since we're aware of all this, I'm noticing the numbers: 1966, 1933. It's so convenient for them to use those numbers, right? We need to take back all those numbers. They don't own them anymore. We do. All right. The big question is, and I think Miki was alluding to this, is that we have to start changing this, right? Miki is just, she's our stand-up girl, right? She helps us fight for our own sovereignty, right? I believe that's Miki. Am I speaking out of turn here? Because when I listen to the information that you give to people, it's more for them to take a stance with the information and look into it more for themselves, if you will. Look at becoming sovereign if they want to do that, and so on and so forth. But going back to your information, Miki, you were basically saying that because I have done this, is there a way that, since we're all becoming more aware of it, that we can erase this history?
100%. And I can tell you right now, I feel so confident in the white hats right now. Remember, I started out researching the stars, the book of Revelation, the comms, and all of Trump's moves. I overlaid Charlie Freak's work with Melissa Red Pill, and I had to know that we won a long time ago. I thoroughly believe that this situation in the Ukraine and the fact that the Israeli government just crumbled yesterday, we all knew Israel was going to be last.
What? What's this breaking news? Did you guys hear what she just said? Come on, listen up, or say it again, Miki.
It's huge. I mean, for Israel's government to crumble and fall yesterday is massive, you guys. Like, we all knew Israel was saved for last. We've been seeing the Z, meaning the Omega. I am, says it in Revelation chapter 1, I believe 8. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, the one who is, who was, who always will be. Alpha and Omega is the Greek A to Z. Z, we were seeing Z's all over the boxes of the relief packages in Ukraine. We were seeing it all over the tanks. Putin was using it in some of his material. Yeah. Do you want to add to that, Anne?
V also. V is for victory.
Yeah.
Is there a place that you can send me to on the internet that I can find that? Is that on Telegram?
You know what? I should have sent you some pics before we jumped on. Maybe we can do that later. Sorry. Yeah. But I also just wanted to everyone to remember really quick. Junior has a tattoo on his right arm. Mm-hmm. It's a dagger with a Z at the bottom. Now that dagger's huge because that's the dagger of Orion. And Orion was always known in the original Bible as the coming Redeemer. And what they did was all over the earth plane, they recreated Orion. So when they rebuilt Rome, the St. Peter's Cathedral is the belt of Orion. And you can actually map the stars, all of Orion, to Masonic symbolism because they wanted to pervert the power of Orion. Now, there's a lot to this story. I don't have images. I wish I did. But what they were doing under the Earth's plane at basically the tip of the dagger, which also happens to be the nebulae, it's the M42 nebulae at Orion, is where they were doing a lot of the AC stuff, the really horrible stuff to the children. So when you think of a dagger on the arm, the right arm of Junior, and a Z at the bottom, he was going to put an end to that madness. The AC madness. I can't use the word. So, you know what I mean? So yeah. That to me, to see those Z's everywhere really tells me this is the final hour. This is the final minute. This is the end of the war. And we had to see everything the way we saw it. We had to see them come after our children in order to make a difference. We had to audit them. We had to wake up. And I think that they've taken out all of the enemies, but now it's just a matter of we got to stop turning on each other. Every doctor, every lawyer, every judge, every teacher, every school district, they all now have to come to the good side and realize that they've been misled. They were paid or blackmailed well to do it, but we got to stop turning on each other and turn to each other, reform our townships, come back under law and order. And this, we've got some really good news, Janine. This is exciting, exciting stuff. Okay. Trump gave us a calm 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks, I don't know the day now, where he did a ceremony out in front of the White House with all these flags. There were 37, I believe, total, but these aren't just any flag. Let's talk about the history. Anne is like the history buff. So we're going to tell you how our country has been taken back and how our original trust indenture for each of the republics of each of the states had been abandoned in 1871. We were abandoned, guys. We haven't had standing since probably even before 1871. I'll let Anne go into that, but I'm trying to simplify for everyone. So let me just tell you simply how I'm going to tell you the simple version, then Anne's going to tell you the details, and she's going to tell you where to research. So the bottom line is everything comes down to trust law. And in 1871, there had been several states, I think 35 to be exact, that had formed a trust indenture. An indenture is basically the rules of a trust. It's the rules of how your organization is going to be run. And in this example, the indenture was the Constitution. So each state was its own country. It was its own, it had its own constitution, it had its own state seal, it had its own state flag, it had its own set of rules. People in Massachusetts ran their state different than they did in Texas. They each had their own trust. But let's talk about trust. In each trust, you have a grantor or an executor. You've got a trustee, which are the people you appoint to run it. And then you have a beneficiary. So in the original republics, in the original formation of the republics, we, the people, were the beneficiary. And we appointed our trustees, our governors, our lieutenant governors, secretary of state, treasurer, the House, and the Senate in each state, so which makes up Congress, right? Well, in 1871, we were the beneficiaries of that trust until they all vacated. Every state, they all vacated. And what happened is when they came back as basically, I'll just say corporations under a different private trust with a completely different beneficiary. But they were doing everything just like they always did. You got your governor up there on that stage. He's sitting behind the podium, so you don't know the difference, right? Well, that's when our country was truly invaded by foreign invaders. And they did it so slow and steady, so carefully, so as that we didn't even know what was going on in the background. And so what's really important right now we have to understand is that original trust indenture, that original republic is still there. All we have to do is reclaim it. And when Trump came out with this 37 flag ceremony, they were the original flags of the original republics. And what that tells me is either he's telling us to go capture the flag in each of our states and forget about negotiating with tyrants, because these are just pirates that are operating on foreign territory, right. Or he's telling us he's already done it. He's already restored the republic in each state. And I have an inclination that he did just that.
Wow.
Okay, so do you guys want to know how it happened?
I'm getting feedback here.
Okay, it happened starting in 1861. In 1861, Abraham Lincoln came in as president on the 4th of March. By the 9th of April, they started the Civil War. Well, President Lincoln came in after the 70-year bankruptcy. He came in right at the end of the 70-year period, which is a Reconstruction period that George Washington created to try to get out of debt. So he was now in charge of the bankruptcy. So the Civil War started, and he ended up having to disband Congress because there was too many members of Congress who just walked out of Congress. There was 14 members. So the military came in and disbanded Congress. And when that happened, he took over as commander-in-chief. Well, during the war, he installated a reenactment, or okay, how do I say this? He installated the Rehabilitation Act of the banking system, because he evaluated the banking system, and the banking system was so ridiculously corrupt. The people were trading as they would do in England. So the English people had convinced the American people that it was necessary to send all their goods overseas to England. England would mill the wheat, do whatever they wanted to do, and then send it back to America at 4 times more money. This was pilfering the land, which was considered dead. He also knew that every one of the 35 states had their own state or trust indenture to protect the people of the states. So what he ended up doing is, because trustees were failing to protect the trust, he took over as trustee to protect the trust. So on November 19th in 1863, when he gave the Gettysburg Address, he literally created the new trust for the 35 states, and he took them over into trust. So now he is the trustee, and the government is the trustee. So who is our trust protector? We have to have one. It's the military. They're our trust protectors. So during the Civil War, it didn't end until 1865, and it ended on the 9th, and he was killed on the 15th. So he was doing something that they didn't like. He actually literally reformed the whole entire banking system, and it was the first time America was actually an independent nation, debt free. And that's what he did. He got America trading with each other. So if you had wheat, instead of sending the raw wheat to Europe to have it milled, you send it now to a milling company in America. If you had cotton, you send it to the clothing industry to have it woven into cloth. And all this went right back to the merchants who sold the merchandise. And as a trustee, what he told the American people is, if you do not have the money, send the bill to the government. We will pay it, because that's what the trust is all about. So if a person had a home and he needed to rent the house, the renter wasn't working because the economy was just starting to rebuild, the government received the bill and the government paid the rent. If a mill needed a new machine and they were just starting to establish, the mill sent the government the bill and the government paid the bill. And then once trade started and the economy started to grow, the people were able to start to purchase and buy their machines by themselves. And they were able to start to trade again with money instead of the bartering system. So if a farmer had food, they would give it to somebody else who could use it, and they would receive something in return.
I want to say really quick, though, Anne was not always a fan of Lincoln. When she was reading the Lieber Codes, she was really concerned with the fact that he brought us into this war powers. Emergency war powers gave him the position of commander-in-chief over the military, and the military was placed over Congress, which, again, remember, at this point in time, Congress was made up of individuals that were not maintaining this trust indenture. They were not doing as they needed to do for our original republics. So it's one of those things where that plan would work great for the deep state. You kind of wonder if maybe he had a gun to his head when he signed the Lieber Codes, right, Anne? But they never thought she would lose, Janine. So that's the trick here. It had to be the military, because ever since we were put in war powers, we've never had a peace treaty between the North and the South. We've been in this situation where you have a commander-in-chief, then the military, then Congress. So the military right now can use that, or did use it, to our benefit because Trump won. That's the huge aspect of this that I think people have to understand. This is how they were able to restore the republic, restore the original republics of each state, and probably create a peace treaty between the North and the South to pull us out of war powers. It's just all happening behind the scenes, and you got to know the comms, right? I mean, we've been analyzing that little ceremony in front of the White House for 3 weeks now, trying to figure out what was he telling us.
So we go back to what Lincoln did. It was absolutely brilliant, but the way history is written, it basically was just talking about all of his war bonds all the time. His 1040 war bonds, his 1040 war bonds. The war bonds created the IRS. But then if you dig into 4 documents that are the most important documents, which are the Declaration of Independence, which is a trust indenture for the 13 colonies, then you dig into the Gettysburg Address and look how it's written. It is actually a trust indenture where he saved the 35 states. And you got to remember, the government at that time was not a trustee. In 1861, they were not a trustee. They didn't have the trust. Only the states had the trust. So he literally pulled all the trust of the states back into the government by himself because they weren't taking care of it. It was a 10-year plan to get the people to grow and to understand how to take care of their trust and to keep their states out of debt. Because in a trust and in the Bible, it definitely says that you cannot leave the land dead for your beneficiaries or the survivors of the land. You have to leave the land alive. So every state from 1776 to 1861, the states were considered dead because they were all in debt. And we were passing the debt on from one generation to another. So he stopped the debt passing on as the president. But when they assassinated him, it just went right back. So we've been fighting a 30-year bankruptcy of this debt. And it's going to end because President Trump is literally telling us the 35 states that Lincoln put into this trust are still in this trust. And those 35 states are actually protected by the military. And so is his banking reform. It's also in that trust. So basically, what they did is they took the trust, they took his banking reform, and in 1871, so that's only a few years after he died in 65 to 71, 6 years later, they created the corporation. Well, they can't break his trust. So what did they do? They piled it on top of his trust. And they also brought in 1912, the Federal Reserve as the new banking reform. So now they can't take away his banking reform. So they just piled the other one on top of the trust.
They were burying the truth.
They exactly were. And every 70 years, they change our history. They bury our history and they rewrite our history. So it took a long time to dig this out and to really find it and to go so deep, because literally I don't have, a library that I can run to go in the archives and find everything. I just had to dig so deep and just go through the documents and pick them apart in order to understand how everything was working.
Bravo, bravo.
She's so amazing. Some of these documents are literally written backwards too. Like you got to read it from the bottom up with the Libra codes, etc.
So did you specialize in understanding contracts and stuff like that, Ann?
Oh, heck no. I'm a wiring expert. I wire things together. I build networks from wires.
I joke that she has spider magic because she can just go snip, 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 snip all the way up to the most tangled spider webs. But no, this is what we have to drill into everyone's mind now. Okay, this is the switch. This is the blink of an eye. This is the peaceful transition of power. It's all in the mind. It's all in the mind, you guys. The original republics have been restored. You need to go find them. Quit joining the new world order. It's like the evil empire. You cannot win. You will not be able to infiltrate them. They're a multi-trillion-dollar criminal syndicate. Quit trying to run for governor or any of that crap. Quit voting. Quit bitching about not having a vote. You never had a vote.
Right. Well, everybody that votes says that. I mean, it doesn't matter because the votes were all stolen from us anyways, right?
Well, you're voting for McDonald's. So even if it was stolen from you, it doesn't matter. You didn't have a vote. It was a criminal syndicate. We were duped. We were duped. We were thinking that we were investing our time, money, attention, votes, candidates, all that time that we spent, campaigning. It was all for a fake government. It was a fake trust indenture. Do you understand what I'm saying? When in 1871, when they came and they vacated and the new ones came in, they rewrote constitutions in each one of those states because they were rewriting a trust indenture for their own private benefit. They were the beneficiaries, not us. We didn't have rights, but we gave them our energy. We have to, again, take some responsibility now and go seek out the new republic, the newly restored republic. And the Republic of Texas has been restored. So the Republic of Texas is now bringing back their Article 3 common law courts. There will be justice now. Currently, I just want everyone to understand, there are no courts in our entire country. There are no courts. They're all run by foreign invaders. They are called administrative tribunals. They are operating in fraud. We have to understand that now we have to go and reestablish our Title 3, sorry, I always say title, Article 3 common law courts under the new republics, because that's the only way we're going to get our judicial tribunals, meaning justice. So we could sit here and bang our head against the wall for the rest of our lives if we want to, or we can go restore the new kingdom of heaven on earth.
I choose the
guys,
latter.
you know what? It's super easy. It's really easy. There is not a big, huge thing about correcting your status, your standing, this, that, and everything else. It all deals with your birth certificate. You got to roll it all the way back, and it deals with your birth certificate. It deals with your footprints. It deals with you literally inking the bottom of your feet, stepping on a piece of paper on the land, inking your thumbprint, sticking it on the paper, drawing a line across it, writing your name, and filing or recording the documents at your county recorder's office. Then sending them to the state and sending them to whoever you need to send them to prove this is who I am. I am standing, this is my status. And all these names that they've given everybody, if we break down all these names, literally we don't need a name. If you live in Arizona, Miki is not a state national. Miki's an Arizonian. If you live in Wisconsin, you're a Wisconsin. I was born in California, but taken out of California, so I can call myself a Californian. So that's my status and my standing. My standing are my feet on the ground, and I'm recording it.
Wow.
And this is what we need to understand. The government is holding on to those bonds. Those bonds do not have names on them. They have footprints, they have the date and the time of your birth and the hospital you were born at. They're waiting for you to come back from the dead, guys. That's it. You need to get, you need to get out of the ocean, roll your boat onto the shore, step your feet on the shore, and send it in. That's how easy it is, guys. It's how simple it is. Send it off to the secretary of your state, the secretary of Washington, send off the documents, have them compare the two feet prints, the baby and the adult, and you're now alive. With the school system, we have a quick way to try to get parents out of this LGBTQ, all this garbage that's going on in the school system. You correct your children's status and standings at the same time. You make your children stand on a piece of paper. You make them put their thumbprint on it. You have your children sign it no matter how they sign it. If they're still too tiny, then you might have to sign it for them. But you're going to record this also at your county recorder's office. Then we're going to help you with a letter that you can actually deliver to your school system that will tell them, look, the registration card is wrong. We need to correct it. So you're going to take the footprints in, they're registered. You're going to get the card back. You're going to cross off that date of birth because you don't want to use it. You want to use the registration date on the bottom of the birth certificate. You're going to change it. You're going to cross off your name and you're going to change your name. You're going to write it in all capital letters, and then you're going to write, and you're going to sign it next to it, and you're going to write registered agent. Okay? It's simple. That breaks the bond of the children at the school. Now the school is no longer calling you the trustee. That makes them the trustee, and they have to take care of the child. So, and they can no longer create a bond on that child to get money for the school district. So remember when you guys vote in the voting system, it says we're creating bond number so-and-so to earn such and such amount of money, and we're going to build a new road or a new playground or something. Okay, guess who the sureties of those bonds are? They're your children. So if you just do that little tiny thing at the school, you'll take your children out of surety and you'll bring them back under you. And also it will stop them from creating bonds for your children.
So
can I ask a quick question before you go into that, Miki? So once somebody does this, does this basically mean we don't have to follow a lot of these bullshit rules, taxes, and all that other stuff? I just want to make sure that people have a clear understanding what this does for them.
We're still going to have to deal with certain things that deal with the taxes and things like this as of right now. But there's 35 states that literally there is the Lieber codes, there is the military war of code, and there's the law of nations, that I can draft a letter for these 35 states that would literally, honestly, call the military in. Because I've talked to a lot of people. There's some people in the military, they have no idea that the military is the trust protectors. So that's hidden way up at the top. So if we start flooding the military, and it'd probably take about 100,000 letters just to flood the military to call them in, that we could literally take down the governments of these states, and the military would be put in charge until new elections could be done, and they could recover their flags, recover their seals, and recover their trust out of the trust indenture that Lincoln set up, and then bring it back into their states and start taking care of their states again by themselves.
Wow, that's a lot. So, it's just the two of you. They're giving this information out. You have to have a team, right? You've got to have people.
No, she just signed us up for a bunch more work too. And I'm like, Anne, stop it. I'm like, shoot.
Well, you know what? I've been wanting to take.
Here's what I think.
Go ahead.
This is all about Operation Wake Up, people. We had to see how much control they had over our children. We had to go into the Matrix. We had to figure out how we wandered into Rome. If we didn't know this stuff, we can't do anything. We can't fix it. Do I think that it's being resolved for us? I don't mean to shed too much hopium, guys, but I do. I personally really think that once Trump restored the original republics and he showed the flags in front of the White House, that's telling me that now you have a governor sitting in each of those states, those original states. I've also learned through some very trustworthy sources that he also gave other lands back to the indigenous. So there will be peace treaties for the lands that had not been part of the Union, the 13 to 15 states we keep debating on, who were formed after 1871. But really quick, remember that whole time, Janine, when it was Antifa wars and Trump said, sorry, I can't go in. The governor's not asking me in.
Right.
Well, now that you know that there was no one holding seat and that the original republic had been vacated, do you understand now why even if a governor had called him, he couldn't go in? Mm-hmm. He didn't have jurisdiction.
Yeah.
This is important for people to understand. Now that there is a governor in those seats, which I don't know the names of them. I haven't even figured it out. I don't know who they are. They're all being very, silent and well kept. And we all need to now focus our attention on finding our new cabinet members and establishing a fair and safe election. But now they can call in the military with jurisdiction. Does that make sense? Now that there are governors holding those seats, now they can also start putting people back in Congress. There's no one in Congress since 1871 legitimately.
Yeah, so I've always known that whoever Trump endorses, he's been making those strategic moves to put the right people there to help us, right? And we're supposed to be paying attention to that, and so these people are all going to be put into place. It's another chess move, right? So once they get into place, then we can all step up and do what we have to do, right? I mean, does that makes
I think so. Anne and I are in agreement that they've been doing the mask and this LGBTQ plus push to get us to wake up and realize just how valuable our children's education really is. And in the new world, we will be far more protective of them, because it's all about family. It's all about walking in honor. It's all about being a true guardian and understanding and accepting the guardianship of our own family trust, and our bloodline. It was always about bloodlines. It's always been about family. And we're going to learn more and more and more about that. But again, this is just me reading between lines and being extremely hopeful. I think that there are so many private member associations forming. There are so many townships forming that the process and procedure for what to do will come. There's really nothing people need to do right now besides shift their focus from these fake elections and these fake positions and learn how to focus back on the restored republic, just like we did for the president, because we all know he's the 19th president of the republic. Right? We all know that Trump is the 19th president of the republic, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I've been aware of that. And this question here, Angel is asking, why can't we see Trump say this stuff or his son? So to explain that, like you have done.
Okay. Can I answer that?
You bet. Go ahead.
Well, remember, they are incredibly humanitarian about what they're doing, you guys. If they came out and told everyone just how horrible this really was without letting us figure it out on our own, without us offering to allow the police officers and the judges and the lawyers and the doctors, all of them have free will. And it's time for them to come on our side, right? Until you give them an option of both sides, they are so confused and so brainwashed. The only enemy left is us turning on each other. So to avoid civil unrest, they're letting this happen and drip out slowly and steadily. So you have David Straight out there teaching everyone how to become a state national. These people are dismantling the police system. We are living in a police state. These people were making anywhere from $2 to $8 million per traffic violation on us by trading us on the markets and the bond markets. So we have to understand now that a lot of these police officers are getting this information for the first time, that they've been working for, I'm just going to say, enemy combatants. They wanted to uphold peace, but instead they were turned into policy enforcers of a trust indenture, a fake republic, a fake government that was making up its own statutes and bylaws and forcing us all to be citizens.
I'm gonna mute somebody here. I'm getting a lot of feedback. I think that might be you, Ann. So if anybody wants to know more about this information, Miki and Ann have put together Wins for the Bond. I've been talking about it often, so you could go out there and get this information. It looks like there's a video out there of David Straight and Sarah Gassera if anybody wants to see. I have not seen it, so it might be the latest ones out there, but it is the Wins for the Bond. And you also have state group list. Just anyone that is looking to find out more about this. I'm actually going to stop sharing and come back. Miki, I want to ask you something. Is your real name Michelle?
Yeah.
Oh, I just saw that.
Yeah. My nickname was Mickey, but I think I'm going to go back to Michelle because I'm not a big fan of Mickey Mouse anymore.
All right. So I wanted to kind of ask you, I understand that David Strait's has got a program. He's traveling around. He's trying to teach everybody this. And, everyone is saying, well, if Trump is in there, we're going to be sovereign. Why do we have to become sovereign, if you will, no longer a citizen? But we have to understand where the hell we came from to know where we're actually going, right? We have to know how we were blindsided, how stuff was buried, as Ann was saying. They were just piling stuff on top of the truth, if you will, for hundreds of years, going back to, what was it, 18, I forgot the year that I wrote down there. But, 1865 is where she actually started, where I think they took over from her. But it's just you two women, and there's got to be more stuff like this coming out on a regular basis so that people become more aware of it, not the hopium. Are you guys planning on doing, something in the near future?
Well, right now we're putting information out there to get people to start researching. We're telling you where to look. We're telling you what we found. We're asking everyone to collaborate, everyone to help us unwind this tangled web we got stuck in. Are we making commitments right now? No. People need to grow up. We all messed up. Look, if we want to walk in honor and equity, we have to admit and understand how we got lost. We accepted benefits. We did. We all signed into the system. You know what I mean? Now, there were many people that did try to go up and buck the system. Many people did stand up against the courts, maybe knowing a little too much. Many of them got thrown in prison. But now we live in a new time, and it's time to, learn our rights, learn how to stand in honor, learn how to update our standing on the record, act like kings in our kingdom. And it's not It's kind of like saying, I've been in an abusive marriage and it's time to leave. I mean, maybe we had a good relationship with our government up until 2020, but then we saw what they're capable of and we all learned. And so now we have an opportunity to walk in the light, to walk in honor, and to learn what trusts mean, to learn what it means to uphold our family trust, to manage our estates, and to walk in honor, and to learn actually how to practice the law of agreement with everyone that we come in contact with, so that we're no longer warring. We got to walk from war. It's time actually for peace and sovereignty. And that mission includes walking away from our comfort zone, finding our new republic, and investing in that. And that might mean joining a township where there's lawful experts that are going to help you if you get hung up with the stormtroopers. Maybe that includes a group of healers who are distributing the new remedies that are all coming out. There's so much coming out, Janine. There's 6,000 patents that are being released. This is amazing times to be alive.
Yeah.
It really is just around the corner. The med beds, the healthy foods, all of it's right around the corner. You've got, I'm going to speak on a few other things too. This is just my perspective. You got to make your own opinions and thoughts and whatever. But we all have been told for 2 years from X22 to expect to see the value of the dollar go down. We knew we were going to see gas prices go up. We knew we were going to see home value prices go up. We knew we were going to see this stuff. This is a revaluation where the dollar has to go down so that it can match the other currencies throughout the world. This is perfect harmony. I love this plan. It's brilliant. And now we get to blame Biden. It's hilarious. And the same thing with the border. I'm really curious. Have we actually made an agreement with Mexico to give them back some of the land that we stole during the war? You wonder, are they tracking some of this stuff over the border? Are they tracking any child trafficking to make sure that they put an end to that? Are they actually allowing some of the Mexicans to come back and reclaim their land and their territory? Are we going to see some treaties coming up here? I think it's about focus. It's about declaring and decreeing over our people. And I'm telling you, I think hopium is helpful for everyone because it directs our focus. Yeah. It tells us where to look. It tells us where to invest. We're creating the illusion of the fake government. When are we going to take ownership in that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's such a strong statement right there. It really is. It's like, it's people constantly asking about this, Sarah Cassera, and if they're going to get monies for this and get monies for that. There's so much more out there than the whole money thing that's going on. And I muted you. I'm sorry. Okay. Oops. You're still muted. Can you, Ann, did you want to unmute yourself?
Oh, I muted myself because my dog started barking and I didn't want the noise in the background.
I think it was the roosters and the chickens. I love it.
Well, there was also an ambulance that went past on the road and everything else. I live on an island, guys.
Were you in Chicago?
With roosters? That's awesome. She's in Tahiti. I love it.
I know. So I want to, speaking of Chicago, I want to just show this because this is a story that I'm originally from Chicago, if you can't tell with my beautiful Chicago accent, right? And also, there are some followers out here also. But this story here, I'm going to just divert for a minute, you guys. If you have any questions for Miki and Ann, please put them in the chat right now. We're going to get to those briefly. But this is going back to when I originally wanted to have Miki and Ann on here because I was following the Bonds for the Win with all the stuff that's going on about the transgender and what they're doing to the kids in the schools and how they're planting these terrible seeds, right? And so all of a sudden I saw this story that came up. Michael, there's this Michael here. He's originally from Chicago. And I don't know him. I met him through the chats and all this. And he talks about this governor, the billionaire family pushing synthetic sex identities, SSI. This is a prankster. Pritzker, and so they have their sights set for a new godlike goal using gender ideology to remake human biology. this crap, if you guys ever do research, please do research on this family. It goes way back. It's deep and wide in Chicago. And I'm surprised that this family has now finally reared its head, if you will. They put him in there as one of the puppets, if you will. This isn't going to go anywhere as far as I'm concerned. And I don't think anyone, all those people are fleeing California, they're fleeing Illinois, they're fleeing Michigan, and stay where you're at. Fight for your states. That's how I truly believe about this. And that's what Anne and Mickey, I almost called you Michelle because I see your name up there. I don't know. I was going to have to stick with the Mickey. I'm sorry. Anyways, this is what they're basically saying is that we take back our country, take back our states, take back our counties, right? It goes as low as you want it to go. What do you guys think about that?
Well, it's all part of the agenda, right? They're letting us see the agenda. This is our opportunity to stand and rise, or it's our opportunity to run and flee, right? So there's always two options. You can respond to anything that's being presented in front of you. You can stand and fight it, face it, with honor and dignity, or you can run away and blame the world. I personally would like to stand and face it and rise up above it, because I don't consider there to be any problem too small or too big. And, this is an agenda. I think that if we start focusing on the restored republics, we're going to realize really quick that all these people, including Pritzker, have already made deals with Trump. Mm-hmm. Ducey just came out with COVID.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago. So I could tell the day that he made the deal with Trump. I mean, it was a while back, but now it's out. We also have comms from Michael Crow at ASU eating crickets on camera and posting it to Twitter. That's interesting. Why is he eating crickets? Now, he was one of the primary funders for Ducey and his entire campaign. He was, I'd say, probably in control of Ducey. So these things go deep, but again, this is why everything has to come out in layers. And now is the time for the people to stand up and be grateful for the freedom that we're being offered. Yeah. We've been set free. Our birth certificates, the Pope is in the window and you can barely see him and he disappears. I mean, come on, guys. These are comms.
He's supposed to be like walking away from all this now. I just heard this yesterday, I believe it is. But see, this Janet is making a comment on here. Janet, I'm not picking on you, but when you say that people are afraid of going to jail, it is what I get when they share this information. I'm not sure I'm understanding what her statement is, but when you're afraid, you're still in the matrix mindset. If you don't take everything that these beautiful ladies are telling us and just kind of watch this video over and over again and see how much information they are actually giving you and letting you know, we're far past this. Is that right, Ann, Mickey?
I believe so, because, the Bible says you have to learn humility, absolutely humility, before you can reach honor. So this is where we are at, is how I'm feeling it. And especially if you go back to 2017 when Trump was on his world tour. He literally, in almost every nation that he went to, talked about the family unit, rebuilding the family unit, parents taking back the children, taking back an interest in their children. So this is humility. We are having to learn humility, to be humbled, because we really need to be humbled so that we can stand in honor and move forward in honor.
Yes. Honor and loyalty, all of that comes back. We need to have that come back to all of us. It's how do I put this? That if you really truly want to have a great connection with the divine, you really have to go within and really see who you truly are. And it's not the ego. It's not all this other crap that we have. And our ego was put into place to protect us. It no longer serves us anymore. That's what I'm trying to say, is that we are, although the veils, all that stuff is coming down, we should be able to see much more clearer now. We shouldn't have the fear pouring out there, if you will. If there's something you're not concerned about, research it. If you're not sure where to go to Telegram. It's really easy just to get on a Telegram and get the information from Bonds for the Win. There is so much out there. I did one whole show just on a few of your videos that you have out there. It was unbelievable. And let's see here. I'm just trying to see if there's any other questions out there that you guys want to ask now. This is a time to do it. If you want to
Can I add
ask.
to that in the going to jail piece?
Yeah.
So this is 90% holy war, 10% paper. And, you know, when we were helping people with bonds for the win, these were just audits. All we were really doing was asking for oath of office. And in that oath of office, I'll tell you what we saw. We saw that they had signed allegiance to 3 entities. One was the Constitution of the Corporation of America. That does you no good. 2, they had signed their loyalty to their own state by state constitution. So think of state of Texas in all caps. That's the corporation version. The rogue government version, wherein we're not the beneficiaries. So these people that we think are elected officials have signed an oath to the corporations, not to us, not to we the people, not to the original republic. They also sign an oath to whatever corporation they represent, whether they're school district, whatever. So it's important when you read these oaths of office to look at what's in all caps, because what's in all caps is all corporate. It's all de facto. It's not de jure, meaning it's not real. So when we restore the de jure and we go back to the republic, we're no longer begging, arguing, pleading with tyrants who are foreign invaders and have no business being on our land. Would you get thrown in jail 10 years ago for standing up like this? Probably. But there are so many state nationals that are now, standing up to police officers, that police officers are getting debriefed at their own police precincts on how to handle the situation when you pull over a state national. This is huge because it's going to teach the police officers to come on our side. Lawyers had also signed an agreement with the British Accreditation Registry, the bar. They're now realizing that they've been misled. They have an opportunity to practice real law. But as it is today, they can't represent you as a living being. They can only represent you as a dead entity. So these are all things that are coming out. It dismantles the army. It's dismantling the entire system. So you have far less chance of ending up in jail. Also, we're seeing prisoners released. Wasn't that interesting? We didn't know what that was about 2 years ago. Oh my gosh, we're letting everyone in prison. Well, 80% of people in the prisons were funding the criminal syndicate because they were drawing money from their Sesta KV trust. So these prisoners being released, 80% of the prisoners, there was no victim. There was no trespass. They were victimized by the system, thrown in jail because we've been living in a police state and we didn't know it. See, all these things, it's like it sounded bad at the time, but now you realize, no, that was all part of the plan.
Holy shit! I didn't know that about. I'm sorry, but I didn't know that about the prisoners. I was kind of wondering. It's funny because we talk about everything is a mirror to look at it that way, and I know, and I'm going to admit this, is my mind is still a lot in the matrix, that when I look at something and I'm like, okay, I'm trying to think the way that I used to think. But then when I try to step outside of the matrix, I'm like, okay, I understand this now. But Miki, you give up so much information about what has happened in the past, much more on this one show than I've had in a very long time. And I hope you guys are all getting this. You
got to watch it a few times. It took me a while to enter into the realm of understanding that they duped us with a rogue government, and that the more time we spend in that, the more we give it our power, our money, our children. It's scary, Janine. It's really scary. And I got all this information from Anne, so blame her.
Well, then let's look at another mirror. Let's go back to 2020, January 6th. They called it an insurrection. They arrested, I don't know, I think it was 157 people, or no, it was 400. How many was it, Miki? 400 or something like that. It was an outrageous amount of people they arrested for January 6th.
Oh, yeah. Over 500 people are still in jail. This is to show us that we are living in a prison state. They have nothing on these people. And the people are only guilty if they accept their guilt. And they're only being represented as a dead corporation by these lawyers. So it's really a bad situation. These are prisoners of a holy war on our territory, and we're allowing it.
So what just happened with CBS News? They infiltrated the White House. They're beating on doors, and
Oh,
they
that
were
was at the
arrested.
Capitol. That was
the Capitol. Yeah.
Colbert. It was a late night show that they did. And so
Right.
they're basically saying, hey, this
So-
guy did the same thing as J6 did, right?
But he was arrested and he was released the next morning. Not J6. J6 is still sitting in jail. They're still not even being, they've never had a trial. They've never even met before a judge, half of them.
Yeah. So I know
So
that.
what is that? Is that another mirror?
Yeah,
It
is another mirror. It's trying to show you whatever they do, they can get away with, and whatever we do, we can't get away with, and we're the slaves, and we're just going to have to abide by their laws, right? Which is a bunch of bull. So they're slowly bringing this to fruition, and I'm not sure if people see it that way or if they just. I don't know what people think, but my God, it's been all over the news. Jesse Waters is a great guy. Miki, we need to get you on Jesse Waters' show.
Oh man, he's practically dropping Q drops lately. Like the guy's talking some serious truth.
So do you think he's related to any of the Kennedys by any chance?
I have no idea. But he's
use
brave.
Use your intuition.
He's clearly protected,
He's got the hair.
Yeah, he does.
So let's look at something else that everybody's been missing for quite some time. Why is the POW flag on the White House?
Because of all the people that they've taken and put in Gitmo, right?
No. There was a general of the military. He was going to blow the whistle on Boeing Airlines. And he is a military general, retired. They arrested him and they threw him in jail. That's what the POW flag is. It's for him.
Now, how are we supposed to know this, Ann? I'm serious. I'm like one of these people on the chat here now. I'm serious. It's just like, how are we supposed to connect the dots? Seriously, on that one.
It took me a while to connect it, but literally the flag went up 3 days after he was arrested and thrown in jail. They hid the story because he's the Boeing airline whistleblower. They hid the story. And it took me a while to figure out and piece the pieces back together of that POW flag. And then all of a sudden, it just started coming out. Flash, flash, flash. Wow, there's a POW flag on the White House. Wow, did you see the POW flag? What's a POW flag for? And then a lot of people were saying it was because of the January 6ers, because a lot of them are ex-military. No, this other guy was literally a brigadier general or general in the Army, and he was blowing the whistle on Boeing Airlines. And I think he's 87 years old, and they arrested him and threw him in jail.
So I want to ask you, where do you go to dig to find your information? I mean, there's got to be a lot of people. I have a co-host on here. It's Destin Deplorable. She's popped in. Here she is, and she's like you, and she does a lot of the digging for my shows when she comes on here. But where do you find a lot of this? Or do you just run across it and then you go, aha, the light bulb goes on for you? Is that?
Well, it's like you start seeing stuff repeated. And then when you're researching and you see, certain things, and then it just clicks inside of your mind. Wait a second. What day did the war end? What day did the Civil War end? Wait, wasn't that the same day he was assassinated? Then you start looking at, oh no, it was 6 days before he was, or after he was assassinated. They ended the war only 6 days before he was assassinated. Oh, okay, now if he was assassinated then how did all this other stuff start? When he got in office, how many days was it before the war started? And then you start, connecting all these little pieces. And you got to remember, the deep state is always about numbers. It's always about how many days between, how many numbers between, and how things are correlated between the numbers. So once you start making connections between the numbers, it just seems to all start fitting together.
Yeah. So, in elementary, my dear Watson, I don't follow it like that. My God.
Anne's not afraid of reading treaties,
Yeah.
Constitution, Lieber Code, the Gettysburg Address,
Well,
Declaration of
you hang
Independence.
on to her, Mickey, because I might steal her.
I know. And she understands
Well,
lexicon. Like, she can tell if it's written, who it's written by. She can kind of tell who was in control at the time that it was written. Like, this isn't fair, that's not fair, or this was twisted. And I think this is the thing too. We're all learning how to read with 2020 vision. When I went back to the Bible and I read it after learning how to decode, it read different. The Bible is a law book. It's about equity and trust. It's about, how to hold your life. It's about what other prophets did. I mean, it teaches us a lot about the prophecy. And when you go back about the prophecy and that double meanings exist, and that there's hidden codes in it, that they weren't going to tell the deep state how they were going to do it, but that it was part of the prophecy. Like, it would have been difficult to even write. So I think that when Anne goes back and reads these things, she's really learning how to read between the lines. And there's a lot of even documents that were either never ratified, or they weren't officially signed, or they have to be invoked by the people. And it's twisted. They know how to twist us up, Janine. They really do. It is a tangled web.
Yeah.
And to all of us, look, we've just been misled and mistaught. We've been told we were incompetent since birth. So now we just have to say, nope, I'm confident, I'm competent, and I'm going to run with the people that are going to help me unwind this mess in my mind so that I can live a new life. Really, we are being set free, but with freedom comes responsibility.
So let's go back to the Bible. A lot of the phrases and a lot of the decodes of the Bible Mickey's talking about, and also the stars, all come back down to the earth elements, the elements of the earth, and what element it is, and how you can use the elements to track down what is the God elements. And there's 4 God elements that make up the center, and that come into us in 4 different areas. So we're the center. So we're like a little box in the center, and think of 4 triangles coming at us. Those are the 4 elements. Those are the energies of the universe and the God energies that are coming down into us. So we can find all this information, like through the stars, like Miki does, through the elements, through the Bible, through decoding. They're just so abundant. And even the crop circles. The crop circles can tell you so many things. Just look at patterns, you guys. Everything is a pattern. Everything is a symbol. So as we look at the symbols and the patterns, it's easier to fit them together.
I know that from the Akashic records. It's amazing. If I'm seeing a pattern, I'm seeing the symbols, I can tell what your issues are, if you will. I need to do that. I need to focus it on the United States, but there's too much. It's too far, too wide, too deep. I'd have to have a computer brain going on. Miki, you have to have some sort of astrology chart of you that is tied to the United States. Have you ever looked at that? With the way that you look, the way that you can sense things, and about the government and the laws and fairness. Are you a Libra? I mean, what is this?
I am a Libra. That's funny. I want justice, damn it. No. And I want it peaceful. I want a peaceful transition of power. That's what I want. Everyone should want that. But no, here, let me talk a little bit about Age of Pisces entering into Age of Aquarius. One of the things that's really been hitting me hard is that it said in the Bible in chapter 14, Revelation, that we would start to hear a new sound, a sound of harps, and that only the army of the 144,000 would hear that sound. And of course, I don't have the exact quote. Don't quote me. But what we're talking about is a new resonance pattern, a new frequency. So when you go from the age of Pisces, it had a certain frequency that we were always in tune to. That actually may have even defined some of our timelines, because it had, a wavelength, and there's crests and there's peaks. As we entered into the age of Aquarius, many of us tuned into the new frequency because we recognize it as old souls or something like that. So now we're entering into a whole new frequency, and the body resonates better at lower frequencies. If you look at Joe Dispenza and his work with Rewired on Gaia. It's a great series. I think you can also get it on Amazon Prime. But he'll show you how the brainwaves work, and how the lower the brainwaves, the more we enter into the state of 5D reality. And especially episode 11, it's like it's a must watch. Everyone needs to go watch that, because as we enter into this lower frequency, this new age of the Aquarius, I believe we're actually are entering into the golden age. I believe that we are entering into a much, much healthier resonance pattern, but that actually creates a new resonance pattern, which means all new bonds, all new structure. The 7 mountains of influence will crumble and a new 7 will form. If you look at those experiments where they have that huge drum, you know, and you put a bunch of grains of sand on it or something like that, and then you start rubbing the drum with like a mallet, like boo, and then you change the frequency, boo, even though it's free will, all those little sands of the grains of sand will create a new star pattern or resonance pattern. You're going to see star cities reforming. You're going to see free energy coming back. You're going to see that we are higher frequency, so we're not going to be as easily fooled. And they also had to speed up their agenda. Trump forced them to speed up their agenda, so they turned it up louder so we could hear just how corrupt they were. Does that make sense? So there's a lot of moving parts.
It sure does. So when Trump roomed their plan, right? They had a 16-year plan, and they were going to roll it all out. And I called it the because I can't say it on here, but those things that he basically came out with a solution a lot sooner that ruined it, that threw a wrench in their plan, if you will. So he was constantly throwing these wrenches into their plan, and he was basically playing horseshoes with them. That's how I look at it. And every time he got a ringer, it disturbed their frequency, and ours became stronger and stronger.
It was a series of ripple effects, really.
Yeah.
And I love that he tells us there is no enemy that's too big. There's no problem that's too big to be solved. We got to stop acting like victims, playing the slave role. It's time to reclaim dominion over our own lives, the lives of our children, and then the lives of our community, right? Put the gas mask, or I shouldn't even bring up masks. Take the oxygen first.
Yeah, exactly. I saw a picture the other day where these people were on these, what do they call them, like little mopeds and stuff like that. They had all these face diapers on their children with no helmets. What the hell? I mean, that's how upside down we are about a lot of things. Okay, so I'm going to, if you guys have any questions, please put a Q in front of it so I can flag it if you have any questions for Ann and Miki. What else you guys want to talk about? This is just fantastic. I could talk to you guys all night long. There's so many pieces to this puzzle. You know, you're talking frequencies, you're talking, you know, just a lot of different things that all come into play. That's not just one particular thing. So we have to have our antennas up, if you will. We have to have our intuition in check. We have to be definitely in line with our higher self, to the divine. That's the only way that we can get through this right now. Bring our energy in and focus on who we truly are, so that we know how to handle the chaos, you know, right? We could stay centered in the middle of all this chaos. And that's what this is. And that's what Miki's been saying, is they created, and Ann has done her due diligence work, if you will, and basically just showing us the work that they have done. If you guys are that interested in doing it, continue to pick up where they left off. They're passing you the torch right now. They're giving you the information.
Well, Janine, you just said the most beautiful thing. You got to open your antenna. So that was the halo effect. When you saw the pictures of the apostles, they had halos because they had opened up those higher chakras. And that is, we are all Tesla towers. We all have antennas. We all have the capability of telepathy, connecting through the quantum field. Now, when you hear the name Quran, the Quran was the university for the Essenes, where Jesus practiced with the other Essenes. Okay, so the Quran sounds an awful lot like the Quran, which was the original, you know, books of the Bible. It also sounds an awful lot like QAnon, which I shouldn't say. Yeah. Also sounds a lot like this Microsoft project called the Quran. And that was a disturbance in our quantum field. They've been messing with our quantum field through frequency, even radio signal, for a very long time, which meant we could not connect to the God consciousness, to the Holy Spirit, the way that we need to, the way that we can naturally, the way that we're allowed to based on our DNA and based on our makeup and based on our Akashic records. So it's hard to connect to your divine destiny, your scroll of destiny, when all of that interference is going on. So I feel like that's all being dismantled. We're entering into a new frequency, and now we're able to connect with people in ways we never could before. So when you asked us a question of where do we get our information from, I can tell you, I know both Ann and I, when we do our research, we don't hit a lot of dead ends because we're taking advice from higher command. I mean, my angels tell me where to look, and it's very rarely a dead end.
That is the truth right there, you guys. It's almost as if you have to pay attention. So if you want to manifest, that's what manifestation is, right? When you want to manifest something, you have to be aware, in the synchronicity of the information that's out there. These guys are so in tune to that vibration that they're putting the pieces of the puzzle together, and we could do that. We have to do that for ourselves. I truly believe that no matter what, whether it's for the country, for anything, we have to do it for our family. This is a time that we need to really come together and understand who we truly are. And that's what I mean by that. If it starts with us as an individual, and then you take it out further and further and further, as these ladies have taken it to the point that they are educating everybody. Ann, do you have, there's a question up here. Someone wants to know, when is this going to be explained to the people, and how to get these crooks out in jail? They're asking the basic question. My understanding is, when is this all going to get, when are we going to get to bliss?
Well, that's the whole thing. We need to literally pass the torch on to you guys. Okay. We have done so much. We went on vacation. It's summer, guys. It's summer.
It's cool.
It's me too. I'm tired.
So, all right. Yeah. So no, I mean, seriously. I honestly do believe that in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we are going to see some major changes. I mean, this week alone, think about what today is. Today is their satanic ritual. Every June 21st at the summer days of solstice, there's a huge satanic ritual. On the 24th, there's supposed to be bonfires. Okay, well, when you see about the bonfires and things like this, I think more of it is we are going to feel a crackling or a shifting of the earth and a shifting of the, us out of this, satanic rituals and more into the higher realms and our higher focuses. If people want to, pull together, they should do it in the light of God, in the light. They should not just continue to fight war and attack people. Miki and I are really against that. We don't want to, harm anybody. Everybody has to have a chance. President Trump has given everybody so many chances. Now it's our turn to give other people chances. We can write, really nice letters explaining what's going on. We can use some of the examples our forefathers did, which are called letters of grievances. And that's how they settled their disputes with the government. So my advice to a lot of parents is start writing your letters of grievances to your school boards. Start writing your letters to explain what is going on. Start explaining to the school board, look, you guys are the trustees. You are hired by us because we voted you in. You're the trustee of our child. Now start acting like it. Don't just sit back and, oh, I can't do it. But if they don't want to do it, there is only one option. You have to go to the higher up, and that is the Board of Education, and that is the unions, because they're the ones controlling. So at least try to do it with love and try to work out these differences and get involved with the children, because that's what Trump has been trying to tell you for so long. That's why it's all pushed in your face so hard right now. Wake up, take it in, get involved with the children and say, okay, I take my stance now. Enough is enough. I'm not going to allow this to continue anymore.
There,
That's how
there
I
it
see
is.
it.
There it is. She hit you guys right between the eyes with what you have to do to begin to stand up for whether you're a grandparent, whether you're a parent, I don't care what they call you, grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, Mimi, whatever it is, get out there and do something, because this is what my whole show was about. Truth for the Bonds is that you guys were totally disgusted as I was. And all that information out there and what they're doing, they're planting the wrong seeds. We need the right seeds for these kids in these public schools to start to flourish. Yes, pulling your kids out of the school is one thing, but not everybody can do that. We have to come together as one. And if we have to fight for our neighbor kid that is in a public school, let's get out there and do that. Even though you might have the means to take them and be able to homeschool them, not everybody can do that. That's what we're talking about is helping humanity with humility, is holding up our brothers and our sisters at this time. And that's what this is. That's what they're looking at up there. They're looking at down and saying, okay, we fought the spiritual war. Now are the humans going to do anything? And that's what we need to do, is help everybody up at this point. Whew. Okay, so questions. Do your family support you? Are you guys totally are they awake totally? So this is coming from Wendy Hall, who wants to know, how are you guys dealing with I don't know, your family members?
Okay, so they call it a rapture for a reason. They said it would happen in 2 waves. Rapture, if you look it up in Webster's dictionary, just means becoming aware of divine things. I'm okay with it if I'm in the first wave. We're going to set up a new kingdom of heaven on earth, and then we're going to bring our family members on in. Okay. This is a quest for them just as much as it is for you. I think we have to think of it more, Janine, like we're in fractals of realities right now. The reality is fractaled. If you support your daughter reading a book and she's in a fantasy world, she's in a fractal. Okay. She's living out a fantasy in that book, and that's beautiful. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with, my kids watching a movie here and there, or, living in their world in 6th grade. I mean, you have a certain reality in 6th grade that's totally different than when you're 35. So it doesn't really matter to me where my family's at necessarily, so long as they are still loving me and that they still understand that I love them. Maybe I'm watching a different movie than they are right now. Maybe I'm tuning into a different frequency, but doesn't mean I can't love them. There was a huge hit piece on me in Forbes magazine, and I always knew I'd make Forbes, Janine. Yeah, so they called out me, my family, my businesses, my maiden name, because of course they have to go after my KV trust because they're a bunch of idiots. And so, yeah, I have a lot of family that turned on me after that. They kind of disowned me and my mom. But what are you going to do? I mean, what are you going to do? I'm going to focus on what's best for the children of the next generation. And I'm going to focus on the fact that I'm not choosing any war between anyone. If they want to choose war with me, then that's on them.
Yeah, it's you know what, I hate to say this, but as the energy's moving, everything is moving so quickly and time is moving, everyone's just going to forget this. We can't remember what we did a month ago, right? And let alone shunning somebody. It almost sounds like it's the witch hunt with that. That actually is what DJT just put out there out on True Social the other day, the witch hunt. There's more of this stuff that he's dropping. That's another place for you guys to go to, is Truth Social. You can get on a browser. I know there's a lot of people from different countries that can't get on it. And that's why I do show it to you guys on my show. There is the Bonds for the Win, and there's a lot of stuff on Telegram. All right, so the next question is, let me just get one more in here. How are you guys doing on time and everything? How are you guys feeling?
I got about another 5.
Okay, this is the last question. It goes to Anne. Any more money that come out of your island since you showed us the change the last time? They remember you.
Okay, the older currencies have all been taken back. We're starting to see the euro in France going down, which means that because the euro and the dollar were actually the controls of the currency worldwide, that the euro has to crash and also the dollar has to crash, because at the same time, the lower currencies who we were controlling have to meet up to where we're at. So the euro is almost down to $1 now, and it was at 132. So this is a good one, very good one. But you also have to realize, when the euro is going down, our prices are going up. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to say something to the whole world. Welcome to Tahiti and gas prices. We pay $4.39 a liter. A liter, you guys, 4 times. Okay. You guys pay, what is it, $7 a gallon?
Oh, not
Okay,
quite
we're
that.
paying,
Maybe 5.
I think we're close to $4.50 a gallon. I'm in
okay,
Arkansas. I'm in
times that.
Arkansas.
Now you're getting a gallon. I'm getting 1 liter for what you guys pay for 1 gallon.
So before
So I pay 4 times more. Welcome to Tahiti.
So would you guys agree that this is kind of, the heat, this is summertime, gas is going up, more electrical. There's a lot
Here
of
it's
things.
winter. I'm on the south of the equator. See, today started my winter solstice.
Today is spring here.
Yeah, today started your summer solstice. But you know what? I'm not going to complain so much about my winter solstice because it's still like 80 degrees every day.
Yeah.
So I'm not freezing.
Yeah, your dog agrees with you on that one. Well, I want to say love to both of you guys. It's always a pleasure to have you out here, and I can't wait till the next time that you come back. Each and every time that you guys are on the show, you just enlighten all of us so much. And you guys, please watch this video a few times over and over again. And any parting words, Michelle?
All right. There are so many technologies coming. There's so much healing coming. I just really want everyone to start focusing. The light workers out there, focus on the fact that it's already here. Imagine it being here. Imagine your place in the new kingdom of heaven. Imagine what you want to do, what you want to invent, what you want to be the visionary of. Start looking and seeking the end game. Seek out your governor, your new governor of your republic. Find them. I don't know where they are. You got to find them. It's like a national treasure hunt. They have restored your state seal and your state flag. Start waving your flag. Go find out what it looks like. Find out what your state flag looks like and wave it everywhere. Stick it on your car, stick it on your house. No one's going to know but you. I mean, this is how you manifest change. This is how you show gratitude for what Trump has done.
This is a great idea. So everybody in the chat, take a picture of your flag and instead of your face and put it in the chat next time that we're all online so that I can see all of this, that you guys have done your homework that Miki has given you.
And you got to seek your national archive. You got to go find the original, not the pirate flag. Because remember, the pirate flags have tassels and all that other crap.
Yeah.
Look for the one that all originally meant peace. And I don't mean the state national flag. I mean your state flag that represents your original republic indenture, the trust of your original republic. That's when you were the beneficiary. That's when you had freedom. That's what you need to promote. And that's what you need to start investing in.
Oh my God. Are you guys up for this challenge? If you choose this mission, please do so. Okay.
And once we get our original governors back, we get our original, we get to clean up our school system, because without those original governors, we really can't get the proper state board of education in place. We really can't get the military to come in and get our courts reestablished, our just judicial tribunals reestablished. So it's time now. It's time that we start just redirecting our focus.
Yeah. Let go of the anger, everybody. I know you guys are so angry at seeing this, but it was a reason it was shown to us the way it was shown to us, because there was so many people out there that just were not waking up. I'm going to be honest with you. And there were so many people out there that didn't want to stand up. And we held hands for the last almost 6 months, huh, Miki?
Yeah.
And we have pushed you guys so far. You guys are ready. You really are. Just have the confidence in yourself, stand up, and you can do it. We're still here. We're just going to take a vacation for a while, you guys. We need one.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But
me too. You take a vacation too, my friend.
I know I am. Actually, I stopped my readings for July, and part of August they ended already. And I'm on a lake here, so I'm going to be doing a lot of swimming. I'm in the water. I'm just enjoying life. And also, too, we always talk about getting connected with nature, but please really take a look at the nature and honor it so much. Sometimes we could take a lot of things for granted, our families, our loved ones, including myself. I do that all the time. When something comes out of my mouth, I'm like, who the hell just said that? Because that's not what I talk about on this channel. That's what my husband says. Well, that's not what you say on your channel. You know what I'm saying?
Spend the next couple of weeks reconnecting with your children, guys. I think this is the biggest wake-up call in the whole world. I think this LGBTQ plus, or whatever you want to call it, was the biggest wake-up call for all you parents. Spend this time, take a vacation, or even just go for a walk on the beach. Take some time and reconnect with your children. Spend some time listening to them for once, guys. Talk to them. See where they're coming from and be a part of their lives. This is my advice to you guys.
What are you working on next, Miki and Ann? Do you have anything you want to share with us now, or should we wait?
We're thinking about maybe trying to educate people on history, but we're not sure how we want to do it yet. And Miki and I both need a vacation right now, so we're deciding to take a few months off.
Yeah, fantastic.
I'm fascinated with water. So I've been kind of on a little mission to, right now, in fact, I'm drinking water that is infused with gold, silver, copper, and then encapsulated in a crystalline structure. So it's living water and I feel amazing. And so I'm really fascinated with homeopathy and these remedies coming out. I'm thinking of traveling to Vegas to go meet up with Dr. Sandra Rose Michael and her healing frequencies and so on. So I don't know. I'm really interested in learning what's coming, getting a hold of the truth in medicine. And so that's what I've always been fascinated with living water.
Yeah, definitely. I studied homeopathy and even hemp. We could do so much with hemp. It's unbelievable what they took away from us. And there's history all over the place on that. So whether you're on YouTube or you just, surfing the internet, pick up some old books, if you will, and open up these old books. Scribe, SCRIBD, that's got a wealth of information out there also. Thank you, ladies, so much. I am honored to have you, especially if you're going to be going away and
Well, actually, I'm going to be sculpting. I want to get back into my sculpting. I want to get back into my crystals. I want to start, it's like I had a whole bunch of designs that I was going to sculpt to make my grids for my crystals, to create my crystal grids and things like this. And then we started redoing the house. So I want to sculpt some panels and stuff for my home too. So it's just a great opportunity just to say thank you, connect with nature, give it a little bit of time. I think we all need just a little bit of time to regroup ourselves and get over the anger we're feeling inside.
I did have that anger with me probably up until about a week ago. And that what really put me over, I hate to say this, was the win for the bonds and seeing all that information in there about the children. But I got over it once. I couldn't figure out, when I get frustrated, I can't quite figure out what it is. But, it's either the vibrations and all that other stuff. But thank you, both of you, so much for coming here. And we are honored and lucky to have you before you guys go and really find your true selves again. And and I know when you come back, you're going to be stronger than ever. And Michael is from Chicago here, and he's thinking, Miki, you need to do something with all your wealth of knowledge. And I'm not sure what he was saying, but I think he was saying you can run for VP.
Oh my gosh, that's the last thing I want to do is join the pirates. But I will deliver water.
Have water will travel. There you go. Thank you both so much for all this information. I loved it. I totally enjoyed it. And the time that you spent just giving us, I know there's a whole bunch more out there. And, everybody, please go to Bonds for the Wind if you want more information. Thank you, and blessings to both of you ladies.
Thanks, Janine.
Bye now.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Now we turn the page. Bye now.